This is a lockbox that I have made. Unlike most electronic locks, it uses no microcontrollers. Instead, I have used multivibrator circuits. These circuits can be combined to make some quite useful and interesting gadgets. In this video, I will build the lockbox from scratch and explain how it works. Let's get started. This is the design I have made for the box, and here is all the dimensions. I will be making this using thin plywood. First, I marked the plywood according to the dimension and then cut using a saw. Here are all the pieces I have cut. I will be making the door hinge first. I cut the plywood to make 2 notches and glued this particular piece of wood onto the door. I then drilled a hole in each. This way I can put a wire through it and attach with the door frame. That's how I made a very simple door hinge. Next, I glued the frame on the base and also the sides. To lock or unlock the door, some sort of actuator is required. I have made my own actuator using a small DC motor. When the motor is energized, the arm is pulled like this. And when de-energized, the arm is released due to spring action. Normally, the actuator holds the door, but when it is energized, the door is free. De-energizing the actuator again holds the door. The actuator can be turned on or off only when the correct pin is sequentially entered on the number pad. And this is controlled by the circuit between the number pad and the actuator. The block diagram of the system looks like this. It consists of 3 bistable multivibrators, 1 monostable multivibrator, and 3 AND gates. A bistable multivibrator, also called flip-flop, is a 1-bit memory. It has 2 inputs and 1 output. The output is low initially, but if a voltage pulse is given in the set input, the output goes high and it remains high indefinitely. So it stores the information that a set pulse is given. When a similar pulse is given to the reset input, the output goes low. The pulse can be given by using a push button. One terminal of the push button is connected to the positive terminal of the power supply, and the other terminal is connected to the set input of the bistable multivibrator. Similarly, another push button for the reset input is connected. This way, the bistable multivibrator can be set or reset by using push buttons. My locker will have a 3-digit pin, 138. That's why I will need 3 bistable multivibrators for storing the 3 digits. The number pad will have 10 push buttons for the numbers 0 to 9 and 1 unlock button. One of the terminals of all the push buttons are connected to the positive terminal of the power supply. For the pin 138, a wire is connected to the push buttons designated 1, 3 and 8, and then it is brought out. Button 1 is connected to BM1, button 3 is connected to BM2, and button 8 is connected to BM3. This way, when the correct pin is entered, 138, all the bistable multivibrators will be set. But the problem in this is that if the thief presses all the numbers, then also all the BMs will be set. To avoid this, connect the rest of the push button terminals except unlock button into a single point. Then connect this wire to the reset input of each BM. This way, pressing any button other than the pin 138 will reset all the BMs. Nice. Now let's solve another problem here. See, we don't need to follow any sequence in entering the pin. If we press 1, then 3, then 8, all the BMs get set. But also if you press 3 first, then 1, and then 8, this time also all the BMs get set. This can be avoided by using AND gate. AND gate is one of the logic gates that outputs high when both of its inputs are high. Otherwise it outputs low. So if the output of an AND gate is connected to the input of BM2, this way both inputs must be high in order to set the BM2. Now observe, if I connect one of the inputs of AND gate to the output of BM1 and connect the other input of AND gate to the second digit of the pin, that is 3, this way I cannot set the BM2 first. Because if 3 is pressed first, one input of the AND gate is high, but the other input is low, as BM1 is not set yet. So the correct sequence is first press 1 to activate BM1 and then press 3. This time both of the inputs of AND gate becomes high and therefore it outputs high. This way BM2 gets set. Similarly, connect the second AND gate. Here also you must first set BM2 in order to set BM3. Next, let's connect the output of BM3 to the actuator. So the actuator will be on only when the correct pin is entered. Also, a dedicated unlock button would be nicer. In the number pad, connect a wire to the unlock button. Then connect the wire to the input of third AND gate. The other input is connected to the output of BM3. This way the actuator will work only when BM3 is active and the unlock button is pressed. A push button, when pushed and released, will create a short duration voltage pulse. Here also, when the unlock button is pressed and released, the actuator turns on and then quickly turns off. This is undesirable. We want the actuator to be on for at least a few seconds so that we can get some time to open the door. We need to make the short duration pulse coming from the unlock button into a longer duration pulse. This can easily be done using a monostable multivibrator. The short pulse coming from the unlock button will act as a trigger for the monostable multivibrator, and it will output a longer duration pulse, and this is connected to the other input of the third AND gate. So after the correct pin is entered and the unlock button is pressed, both the inputs of the AND gate becomes high and therefore the actuator is activated. And after a few seconds the monostable output is low. So the actuator automatically gets deactivated. Now let's take a quick look at the circuit diagram of the locker. First, we got 3 bistable multivibrators. In order to make sure that the output of each BM is normally low, I have added a capacitor between base and emitter of left-hand side transistor of all the BMs. This is very important. Even if the BMs were active before, restarting the device will reset all the BMs. Next, there are 3 AND gates. An AND gate can be made by using 2 transistors like this. The output is low when both of the transistors are off. If a positive voltage is applied at the base of the transistor, it turns on. But the output is still low because no significant current is flowing through the resistor. If a positive voltage is applied to the other transistor as well, current flows through the resistor and the whole supplied voltage appears across the output. This is exactly how AND gate behaves. As discussed earlier, one of the inputs of each AND gate is connected to the output of respective BMs. The output of first AND gate is connected to the set input of BM2 through a diode. The diode prevents current to flow in this direction, which would otherwise affect the performance of the circuit. The second AND gate is connected in a similar way. In the third AND gate, the other input is connected to the output of a monostable multivibrator. The push button wires designating 1, 3 and 8 are connected to the circuit through a resistor like this. The unlock button wire is connected to the monostable multivibrator in a similar way. The reset input of each BM is connected to the rest of the push buttons through a resistor as well. Lastly, in order to control the actuator, I am using a relay with a flyback diode and a bipolar transistor. The base of the transistor is connected to the output of the AND gate in series with a resistor. When the output of the AND gate goes high, the transistor turns on. Current flows through the relay coil and hence relay contact closes. The actuator is simply connected in series with the relay contact points like this. This way, when the relay contact closes, the actuator gets activated. I am using a relay because the AND gate cannot directly drive the actuator as it is a heavy load for the system. I have made the circuit on a breadboard and everything was working as expected. Let's make a permanent version of the circuit on a Perfboard. I will be using terminal blocks for easy connection of the number pad wires and also all the other required connections. First, I inserted the block and then soldered onto the Perfboard. In a similar way, I have soldered all the other required components. I have used the component leads and sometimes wires to connect between the components according to the circuit diagram. This is the relay I am using. Its pinout looks like this. After around 2 hours, the circuit is complete. I have carefully labeled each point on the terminal block. For the power supply, I will be using this 3.7 volts lithium-ion battery, and for charging and protection, I will use this TP4056 module. First, I have soldered the battery wires directly on the board. Then, I have soldered 2 wires for the output, just like this diagram. I will use this LED in series with a current limiting resistor as a power indicator. Then I have connected the actuator and the battery to the circuit. I did a last test of the circuit and it was working properly. Now it's time to assemble everything. First, I glued the actuator on the side wall near the door. To hold the door, I made this hook using galvanized steel wire. I marked the required spot and then attached it to the door. Normally, the actuator holds the door, but when it is energized, the arm is pulled and the door can be freely opened. De-energizing the actuator releases the arm and holds the door again. I made this simple handle for the door and attached it. In the top plywood, I marked some lines for placing the push buttons. And also the power button. I then made all the required cutouts. I have soldered a wire in one of the terminals of all the push buttons. Then I inserted the wires like this. The other terminal of all the push buttons will be a common point, which is to be connected to the positive terminal of the power supply. The power button is connected in series with the circuit. This way the whole circuit can be turned on or off. Now connect the push button wires to the circuit. First push button to the first point, third push button to the second point, and the 8th push button to the third point of the terminal block. After that, connect the rest of the push button wires except the unlock button into a single point. Then connect it to the reset point of the terminal block. Finally, connect the unlock button wire to the terminal block. This diagram shows all the connections. I glued in the internal wall to separate the circuit. For the USB port, I have made a small opening at the corner. This way the battery can be charged. I glued the top cover and attached the circuit with hot glue. And then fixed the back plywood. To easily press the buttons, I cut a square from thick paper and then glued it to the push button arms. I then glued the top cover and the lockbox is ready. First, press the power button. As you can see, I cannot open the box if I don't enter the correct pin. Let's try the correct pin 1, 3, 8 and then press unlock. Now I can easily open the door and get access. To lock the box, press the unlock button and close the door and then press the power button. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give your honest feedback in the comment.